You're listening to Parasearch Radio, news, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio. Parasearch Radio, broadcasting to the UK and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. You're listening to Kerry Greenaway and Mark Manley on the Dark Mirror Paranormal Show, only on Parasearch Radio.
Good evening and welcome to the Dark Mirror Paranormal Show. My name is Kerry Greenaway and it's usual Friday fun and frolics with Mark Manley. Good evening, Mark. Mark is back into house.
I am back. Good evening. Thank you very much for allowing me to come back on and wreck your show for you.
And Kaz is with us as well. Good evening, Kaz.
Good evening.
What a day it's been today.
Go on then. Why has it been a day today?
It has been an awesome day today. It's been absolutely brilliant. Loved today. So thank you, universe. It's been a brilliant day. So what you guys been up to? How is my lovely Mark Manley? Because last week we told everybody what was going on with you and why you weren't around. So give everybody an update as to how you are now, please.
I am actually cancer-free now. Touch wood. And yeah, so cancer-free now. And I have I'll go and do a follow-up in October, I think it is. But yeah, at the moment, all good. All back off all the medicines I was on, and apparently the colours have come back to my face, and I'm looking a lot better now. So personally, I looked in the mirror and cried, but hey, I'm fine now.
Well, we are glad you are back with us in the studio. Yeah. To be fair, we have missed you.
Yeah, I've missed doing it. I have missed doing it. So.
And I had to shout aliens last week.
Yeah, he had to do aliens for you. She had to do aliens for you.
Let me hear you say aliens.
Me?
Yeah.
Aliens!
Oh, we drop me flock aliens! There you go.
Even Ashley Nib was in the chat room shouting aliens because you weren't there.
Really?
Yeah, honestly. Seriously. It was seriously missed last week.
Okay, well, I'm sorry I got ill, but I is back now.
Well, we defy
and I'm trying.
you. We are defying you to find alien links with some of the topics that are coming up on the Dark Mirror show. So tonight, well, I think you probably could find an alien link on this one. I really do think. He's nodding at me, everybody. He is nodding. Tonight on the Dark Mirror show, we are talking all about scrying.
Yes, we are talking about scrying. The art of divination and looking into the future. From the Old English word descry, signifying to make out faintly or uncover. Or if you're in the Victorian era, scrying actually meant bamboozling others to get money. But carry on.
Now, so Mark, have you ever tried scrying?
No.
Kaz?
No, I haven't.
Yes.
How did you find it?
I have a black mirror.
You made a black mirror, didn't you?
Yeah, and I have crystal ball.
Just too many jokes
crystal ball, and I pencil them. So.
What do you mean? There's too many jokes there.
I'm not gonna do it. But there's too many jokes there.
Okay.
And by the way, I have found you a link to UFOs.
What, in scrying?
Yep.
Oh, for
Okay,
crying.
well, it's okay. It's okay. We can cope with this, Kaz. It's fine.
Well, for all of you, look up, and I'll spell it out for you. Solux. Solux, Alien in the Crystal.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, we'll get to that, no doubt, at some point into sure.
Yeah, we will.
Into sure. However, you are right. The old English word descry signifies to make out faintly or to uncover. Now, I do scrying as well. I use a crystal ball sometimes. I use a black obsidian mirror. I don't use just a black mirror. I use a black obsidian because Crystal Queen over here, you know, I have to have the obsidian thing going on. And but I've even done fire scrying before now because there's so many different methods of scrying that you can use.
Oh, hang on.
Fire
No,
scrying
when
is
I was
good.
younger, I've tried that. I've tried the fire scrying when I was younger, and I tried the, you know, when you look into
Oh, your internet is
that
crap.
one as well.
You keep breaking up.
Yeah.
You go all
Oh.
alien filed. Alien filed. You go,
Well, hello, that's my job.
Well, yeah, this is true. This is the only reason
Um,
you're on the Dark Mirror shows for the aliens.
I have to say that in the chat room, I can't get onto the chat room. It's not even showing the show.
Well, it is on my
No.
land. In my
I don't know
world
why.
over here it is.
Have no idea why it's not.
Well,
I'm
let
in
me
the
tell
chat
you
room.
I was going to say, I'm in there too. We have Bear Medicine Walker in the chat room. We have Mr. Gary Bradfield. We have Mr. Andy Mercer is in the chat room. Who else have we got in there? Oh, Kaz is in there. I'm in there. Yeah. Andy's got a big obsidian one as well.
Has he now? How would you know about Andy's big obsidian one?
Wow, he's just told me.
Well, I've seen Andy's balls before. I've seen his crystal balls before, but, you know, hello.
He had an amazing selenite sphere that he used to use that went on to work with John Blackburn.
Yeah.
Selenite, that was, wasn't it? Crystal
Yeah.
sphere. Kaz.
I'm just trying to get over you saying that Andy's got a great big black one. And my mind,
I'm sure
What?
he's chuckling away at that.
Yeah. John Blackburn uses the selenite ball that he
Yeah.
got from Andy. Yeah.
Yeah. And has amazing results with that in
Yeah.
his investigations, doesn't he?
Yeah, I've seen it rotating and moving and lifting and all sorts.
I have seen Andy use the ball once, and I was quite intrigued with it because there wasn't enough sort of energy at the time, to be fair to him, to do it properly. But what I saw, it got me intrigued, you know.
They're a great point of focus, is what I would say, with crystal balls. Anyway, let's have a little look because one of the most famous scries in history is Nostradamus.
He is indeed.
Kaz, tell me
you-
about... Sorry, Mark. Kaz,
No,
tell
I was
me
going to say,
about
you guys carry on.
Kaz, talk to me about
Nostradamus. Nostradamus was famous for scrying. That's how he got all his information from water scrying.
water scrying.
Yeah, he liked water scrying. But he lived in the 16th century. He actually predicted his own time and date of death as well.
Oh, cool.
Didn't he predict the Twin Towers as well?
Yeah, he predicted a lot of... Considering it was in the 16th century, I find that quite interesting.
But it's very... yeah, carry on.
Yeah. What was that about, Jerry?
I just find it quite subjective because obviously the language he
Yes,
talks in, I think the language he talks in, and then you can sort of like...
I'm going to explain why he does
Oh, go on then.
He wrote his prophecies in cryptic messages because at the time the church and others, if they'd found out, he would have been done for
Yes.
practicing the occult.
Yes, that's right. He would have done, wouldn't he?
He would have been charged for practicing the occult.
Okay, so should we have a look at a few of his predictions through scrying?
Yeah. Who's
Okay.
going first?
I'll go with the Great Fire of London, okay? Now, this is what he said. The blood of the just will commit a fault at London. Burnt through lightning of 23's the 6th. The ancient lady will fall from her high place. Several of the same sect will be killed. Right?
I'm listening to you. You carry on.
Yeah, that was his prediction. That's what he said. So what actually happened, in regards to the date, 20 times 3 is 60, Add 6 to that and you've got 60. See, I think this is a reach. Add 6 to that and you've got 66, or the year 66. London's famous fire began on September the 2nd, 1666. Okay? The fire wasn't set by lightning, though, but it was a really hot, arid summer, so it's not a huge reach to suggest possibly there was quite a lot of ionic activity around that time, maybe. But it was actually caused by a spark in the bakery of Thomas Fariner on Pudding Lane. That's actually what started the fire, the Great Fire of London.
Right.
Now, peasant and middle-class deaths were not recorded at the time, but that's according to the Smithsonian magazine. Not any magazine, Smithsonian, I'd just like to add. But it is likely that loads of people died. You know, I think that stands to reason. I think that's not a huge...
Well, of course loads of people died. You had the outlying counties, Surrey, Sussex, Hampshire and all going for the next few weeks. Can you smell barbecue? So, of course, definitely, you know. What, too soon?
But I do think when I look at that, it's very, as Andy's put in the chat room, it's incredibly vague. It is stretching. It is so stretching it. I mean, burnt through lightning of 23 is the 6. You could mathematically probably equation that into so many different figures.
Yeah.
Well, you know, probably. I'm not very good with maths, but you know what I mean. You could do like 6 times 23. You could make it fit if you really wanted to. I mean, 20 times 3 is 60. Add 6 to that, you've got 66.
If you had 3 to that, you'd have 69 as well.
Yeah.
I do have issues with this. What is the ancient lady that will fall from her high place? In the Great Fire of London, did a massive statue fall or go down? Was St. Paul's? Did St. Paul's?
Or did the Great Lady actually mean? Or did the Great Lady, was that another way of saying the capital?
The capital, maybe.
Well, it wasn't the whole capital, though, was it? Actually, Andy Mercer's in the chat room. He'll know the question to the St. Paul's thing.
Andy Mercer, what was the
Yes,
Great
Mr.
Lady?
Mercer. I'm not feeling angst, Ben. No, I'm not. I get frustrated because I think some people reach to make things fit sometimes. So, yeah, I think that's the point I have with Nostra. I'm going to call him Nostra. I'm not even going to give him his full name. I've nicknamed him Nostra.
He's looking at you from the other side of the veil and he's going, all right, mate.
Yes,
so,
Andy, I know you used to work there, but was St. Paul's affected by the Great Fire of London? And is she called the Great Lady or the Ancient Lady? I've just asked it again.
Don't worry, Richard. We're going to get to John D.
Ancient Lady. The Ancient Lady will fall from her high place. I mean, stretch that as far as you want. You know, you could probably, I don't know. There's probably loads of things you could relate that to. This is the problem, what I find with this sort of thing, is it's relatable. It's probably relatable, if you really wanted it to several different events that happened. And people have actually just put this one to the Great Fire of London. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. In my opinion. That's just my opinion, everybody. You know. Right, so let's have a look at the next one. The French Revolution one. Who's doing that one? Which one?
La France Revolution.
Oh, well, being as he's got the accent. Oh, it was. But it was never called the Lady. But it was burnt and collapsed, St. Paul's. Just saying. I keep saying I can.
No, you're all right, Andy. No, you're okay. You're all right. You just stay there, yeah?
Right, we're on the French Revolution now. Who's doing the French Revolution?
Where was Nostradamus from?
France. I don't know. Or Italy? Was it Italy? Where was Nostradamus from? Was he Greek? I've gone around Europe now. He was Russian.
He was French. He was French. Sorry.
Carry on. Carry on with your French accent with Nostra's prediction of the French Revolution. I know loads about Nostradamus. You can tell, can't you?
Yes, we can. I will endeavour to do you justice there. Right. From the enslaved popular songs, chants and demands, while princess and lords are held captive in prisons. That's a Burma over there. These will end the future by headless idiots. be received as divine prayers. Shall I do it in a normal voice?
Yeah, I would.
From the enslaved populace, songs, chant and demands. While princes and lords are held captive in prisons, these will in the future by headless idiots be received as divine prayers.
I think actually what he was predicting was the massive stage musical Les Miserables.
Yeah. He was talking about the use of actors in it that shouldn't be in it, but yeah.
So what happened then? How does that relate?
Well, starting with the storming of the Bastille in 1789, the France Revolution saw the overthrow of the monarchy and the establishment of a new republic. The Third Estate, which were the enslaved populace, took control of Paris and forced their demands on royalty, princes and lords. Ultimately, the revolution, La Révolution, turned bloody.
I want to go all Three Musketeers at this point. Carry on. I know that's a completely different time period. I do know that, everybody.
Are you sure?
I'm not sure. No, I'm not sure.
Mademoiselle, do not trust Rochefort. Anyway, ultimately, the revolution turned bloody. Nobles and commoners alike were declared traitors to the revolution and beheaded at Madame la Guillotine. And that's where the headless idiots comes in. 17,000 people were executed during the Reign of Terror, and 10,000 died in jail. The figures account for all victims of the First French Republic, and not just aristocrats. Aristocrats?
Well, that's a whole different show, the Aristocats.
No, I didn't say Princess Leia.
To be fair, I kind of think that one is... when I look at that, I can kind of see where he was coming from on that one in regards to the French Revolution.
The chants and the demands, that was the populace in the streets going, "We want camembert, fresh, not the crap you give us."
Give them cake.
This is Merlot.
But no, I can kind of understand why people jumped to the assumption that that particular prediction was about the French Revolution. Having said, I mean, let's remind everybody, this was all in messages, should we say, received while scrying through a bowl of water.
Do you know who else was locked up at the same time as the when that went on, the storming of the Bastille and everything?
No.
The Marquis de Sade.
And he is?
Marquis de Sade.
I'm not very good with this side of things.
Oh my God! You don't know who the Marquis de Sade is?
Honestly, guys, they found an area of knowledge that I really am not very good with. Who is this? Who is this Marquis de Sade?
The Marquis de Sade. Sadism, Marquis de Sade. That's where you get the name from.
He liked a bit of sadism, did he?
He was the guy. He wrote books and
the guy. He was the original Mr. Grey.
He brought it into the populace and made it very famous with his books, and he was the one who was very much into doing things with everyday household objects, including whisks. Le whisk! Le pantaloons! Yeah?
Okay, let's look at him.
We have Giggly Kerry.
Kiz, go on to Kaz. I can't even speak. Kaz,
would you like me to do Adolf Hitler?
Yes, I'd love you to do Adolf Hitler. Thank you, honey. Thank you, honey.
German accent as well.
Adolf Hitler. From the depths of the west of Europe, a young child will be born of poor people. He who by his tongue will seduce a great troop. His fame will increase towards the realm of the east. Also, beasts ferocious with hunger will cross the rivers. The greater part of the battlefield will be against Hester, not Hitler, Hester. Into a cage of iron will the great one be drawn when the child of Germany observes nothing. Right?
Right.
Cage of iron. Would that be anything to do with the Iron Cross? Because he didn't go to prison.
Sorry, I'm just reading the chat room. Carry on, everybody. Carry on.
So what?
Mr. Pink Panther.
No, I was reading that Arthur Conan Doyle wrote The Three Musketeers. That's Richard Clements. The Three Musketeers is a very good book. One of Arthur Conan Doyle's better works. Someone's now going to go, no, Cal, he really did write The Three Musketeers. I'm pretty sure he didn't, but there you go. I'm going to have to Google that. Carry on. Just to carry on.
Right, okay.
Carry on with Hitler while I double check my facts on this one, because I'm doubting everything I say now.
What actually happened then was on April the 20th, 1889, Adolf Hitler was born in Austria, which is in Western Europe, but his family was middle class, not impoverished. Hitler did rise to power in part due to his oratory abilities, by his tongue will suggest, and did initiate World War II, a great troop, by invading Poland.
He also,
Yeah, on you go.
I was going to say he predicted the death of King Henri II of France, didn't he?
He'd done loads.
He also
the Twin Towers.
Saddam Hussein, and he predicted Donald Trump.
And the Twin Towers.
Yeah, he did a lot. He hasn't.
No, guys, allegedly. It's like, again, jumps of assumption on what is a kind of a weird way of saying it. You can make it fit.
Well, the bit where he said about Donald Trump was in one of his writings. He put the great shameless or slate. Put my teeth back in. Rewind this one a minute. The great shameless, audacious baller. He will be elected governor of the army. So there you go.
Oh my God.
Well, Andy's just said in the chat room, there's no time scale to Nostra. He's calling him Nostra.
Yeah, let's just go. We're going to just go in Nostra. Seriously, it's such a cool name.
There's no time scale to Nostra's predictions. There isn't.
No, you're right. There isn't no time scale on it. So you can take his work, and go across any point in history from when he wrote it, and probably, if you really searched hard enough, find other incidences, should we say, that probably would fit.
Yeah, definitely.
Or not.
I mean, I'm just looking.
These were done. These predictions were done by him, obviously, but these have been put to specific historical situations by cleverer people than us.
I think my play on it is I do think he may have had a gift for seeing something purely because of the choice of words that he used. And it wasn't like random, it wasn't like ramblings of cold people who do cold readings and stuff like that. It was specific words and phrases that were used for each different one. Sometimes I think he was way off the mark, but some of them I think he may possibly have known something.
Well, I also think translation comes into it as well. So when you're doing your scrying, when you do scrying, it's the same as mediumship, isn't it? When you're trying to get a message through, it's not always clear. So you translate it how you think it should be translated. So, like, in regards to the Hitler one, he said a young child would be born of poor people. Well, Adolf Hitler wasn't that poor. He was middle class. But look at the poverty the country was in. Mm-hmm. When he came into power, the poverty that was going on in the country was horrendous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it could be not so much his predictions are awry, shall we say. It could be the translation of when he was doing his predicting. So the message that he was being given through this scrying method, if he was this great prophet, could just be a slightly misinterpretation of the messages he was receiving.
Is it a bit like Edgar Cayce? Just bear with me on that one. Edgar Cayce, as you know, lies down on the sofa, goes into a trance, dream-like state, whatever, and that's when all these things come to him. With Nostradamus, I realise he, water scrying and everything like that, but as he was looking at it, because a lot of the scrying stuff, you do have to go into an almost fugue-like state, because you've got mist swirling, you've got the water going with the black light on it and everything like that. If you've gone into the same sort of state as like Edgar Cayce did, could it be these things were coming through to him, but he just couldn't interpret them properly? Especially if he was getting warnings from the future. Yeah. Back then, he wouldn't know what on earth it was, so he just wrote down what he saw, and in words that he would use at the time.
Well, that's exactly really what I was saying, isn't it? It's that interpretation of the images he's seeing or the messages he's being given and his interpretation of those, rather than him being wrong. He's not wrong. His interpretation is wrong.
Yeah. It could be because he didn't know.
Because he didn't know. Because you've also got to remember when he is looking at that.
I'm just trying to have a look at some of his stuff for 2018, and I'm not going to say some of them because some of them you're going to get people who are going to jump on and go preposterous, and then you'll get people who are going to be scaremongers as well. So you carry on talking. I'll try and find some normal ones.
Okay, well, let's have a look at methods of scrying because we've touched on a few at the top of the show, but there are various methods that can be used. My preferred method is my black obsidian mirror. It's circular. I use that. It's quite a nice size. It's incredibly expensive, is what I would say to that. But you can use so many different methods. Let's have a look at fire scrying, Kaz. So what is fire scrying?
Basically, the method of fire scrying is all it requires really is a flame of some sort. So, I mean, you can use a candle, you can use a log fire, a coal fire, a campfire, anything that's got a flame. The most important thing is the flame. You're kind of in a meditative state when you're looking at the flames.
Yeah, you definitely have to get into that mindset.
You have to get into that mindset. And if you stare at the flames and you're in that state, you can actually get different things, places, faces, names, symbols, numbers, whatever it is when you're in that state. But I can only do it with a fire. I can't do it with a candle.
I'm the same as you, actually. It needs to be a bigger flame than just a candle flame for me.
Don't you need all the different colours of the flames dancing about to be able to see anything? Because you're not going to get it out from one candle. You will get it from an open fire.
There are people that can. It's just a preference, really, of what you resonate with. It's giving you something. I like the interplay of flames rather than one flame.
Yeah.
But that's a personal preference for me if I'm trying to do that. So if we're sitting around a campfire in the summer and stuff like that, that in itself is quite mesmerising, though, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
The
thing is, when I was growing up, when I was a teenager, we moved into a new house and we had a coal fire. That's where I learnt how to do it.
Yeah. I used to do it at our coal fire where I used to live. Yeah. It's quite good. Just to totally, you can go back to that in a second. I've just found a couple of interesting ones for this year from Nostradamus.
Nostra.
Nostra. All right,
back to Nostra.
Nostra, like, as he predicts, because like he would talk like this, like, because stuff the French, he's going to talk with an London accent. Right, he predicted this year that Mount Vesuvius is going to go off with a major bang, and he also has predicted that there's going to be a massive earth-shattering earthquake in the US, or a series of earthquakes that will split the US in half. Now, if my memory serves me right, I know in Yellowstone Park you have got a massive caldera underneath it, haven't you? And if that goes, it's going to produce a supervolcano, which will theoretically split the US in half and put us into a mini ice age, or at least put that area into a mini ice age.
Ooh.
So, and I know that people are keeping an eye on Yellowstone Park at the moment because that caldera has been grumbling. So, you know.
It's got a grumbling caldera, right?
Yeah, I've seen a doctor about that. He gave me some ointment, told me not to see those sorts of ladies again. So I said, okay.
Okay. So another one?
Well, you want another prediction?
I thought you said you had a couple. And then I'm going to go onto the chat room because there's some interesting things that have come about in the chat room.
I did. I said Mount Vesuvius.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
You carry on. I'll find some more.
All right, then. I was reading the chat room. Okie dokes. So, in the chat room, we have Mr. Ashley Nib. Good evening, Ashley. He says, on a serious note, machine learning could look at this trawling through big data. He loves his data, does our Ashley, to see if there really is a relationship to his predictions. Just a thought.
I like Star Trek too, but I mean, I don't
perception of communication. And then Richard has said Margaret Thatcher was a greengrocer's daughter. Perhaps it's about the miners' strike in the 1980s rather than the Hitler situation. Because she was born to a poor person.
This is true, yeah.
A poor family, rather. So again, you can look at it in different ways. You can read, look, like I said, if you trawled through history with some of his predictions, you could probably come up with several instances throughout history that would fit that prediction, you know. Andy Mercer says 2 books, one published before the first Gulf War and one after. The first book related a section of it to the Iran-Iraq War. The second book used the same section to talk about the Gulf War. Again, you are looking at different incidences and being able to fit what his predictions were. And I have to say, media in general love to do this.
Yeah.
Well, Nostra, he predicted this in the 1600s. Well, if you listen to the multimedia, then the world was supposed to end, according to Nostradamus, about 20 times so far that I know. I know, Superlou. Thank you. The Three Musketeers was written by Alexander Dumas. I was joking.
But thank you very much for your input.
But thank you so much. Yes, I was joking. And Andy M says he walks away for 30 seconds and all of a sudden Mark is talking about the world splitting in half.
No, not the world. Just the US.
Just the United States of America in Jellystone Park.
Yogi Bear. Well, so basically now we've got Yogi Bear as president of America now because there's going to be a big earthquake going off. Basically, so when that earthquake goes off, the US splits in half. Jay Lynch, I feel sorry for you, mate, because you're going to have Yogi Bear coming out giving gift aid to everybody, and it's basically going to be picnic baskets with sandwiches.
It really wouldn't surprise me.
Hey, boo-boo, is that a picnic basket?
Anyway, we were looking at methods. So anyway, we sort of like backtracked a bit there. Backtracked a little bit there because of the chat room. But we're going to go forward. We were looking at fire scrying. So where was we with fire scrying, Kaz?
Meditation.
That's right. You have to get yourself into that mental state to that meditative mental state. Richard is now trying to make me believe that Tarzan was written by Alexander Dumas. Again, well, good try. But carrying on with methods, they're going to distract me now. I'm going to come out the chat room because you lot are just driving me insane.
So Arthur Conan Doyle wrote 50 Shades of Grey.
I think we've already established that the original 50 Shades was by the Marquis of Sades or Sardes or whatever his name was. Sadie.
Marquis de Sade.
Sade, thank you.
I'm surprised you didn't know about him, Kerry.
Anyway, moving swiftly on. We're looking at fire scrying. And your breathing technique is incredibly important to get you into that mindset.
Yeah.
You have to make sure your breathing's like really in there to be able to do it properly. Yeah. In for your nose, out for your mouth, roil your eyeballs a little bit. That's cool.
I think the important thing is, I mean, any method.
You've missed me, haven't you?
I've missed you so much. Carry on, Kaz.
It's all right.
I've not corpsed completely. It's fine. I'm still with it.
Any method of scrying, no matter what method of scrying, you need to kind of take notes afterwards. Do you take notes, Kerry?
I take notes throughout.
Yeah. You've got to take notes.
I literally, as each thing I get, I write straight away.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if I do a long session, oh my God, I can't remember. Do you know what I mean? I'll come out of it and I'll be like, what the hell was that? You know what I mean? So I literally write as I go.
Yeah.
That's how I do it.
Because it might not make sense at the time, but it might make sense a couple of weeks down the line or something. You don't know. But it is important. It is important that you take notes on what you're getting.
I've also managed to do it and got it incredibly wrong as well.
Can you imagine if Nostradamus was, I don't know, reincarnated or lived in this time or came back in this time and then started doing predictions and went, hang on a minute, I'll just check on the internet.
I just have to Google
no,
that.
I didn't mean that.
Hold on a second. Was Tarzan written by Alexander Dumas? Oh, dear. Okay, so the most famous form of scrying is by a crystal ball. We all have, visions of, the gypsy Rosalie with her, cross my palm with silver and I will read your crystal ball. You know what I mean? What do you get when you read a crystal ball, Kaz? Because it's, most of the balls now that you get on the market are glass.
Yeah.
Wow.
The thing is, it isn't my preferred method, so I won't go to using crystal ball. I do have a funny story about the first time anything happened with a crystal ball, if you want to hear that.
Yeah, oh, hell yeah. Let's hear about your funny story.
There was this very well-known psychic in Glasgow, and she used tarot cards in a crystal ball. But to go and see her, you would need to get up like 7 o'clock in the morning to make your way to Glasgow, because when you got there at 9 o'clock, there would already be a queue of people waiting to get in. You were queued up the whole day to get in and see this woman. She was really good. But she handed me she was doing my reading. Me and my mum went up, and my sister, and she was doing my reading. And she handed me the crystal ball. And when I looked at the ball, it misted over. And I went, why did it do that? And she went, because it's going to show you something. I went, no, it's not. And I threw it back at her.
You actually threw a crystal ball at her?
Yeah, I threw a crystal ball back at her. I went, no, it's not, and threw it back at her. In fairness, I was like 20 at the time.
That's still not really quite... Sorry.
Yeah, but it was quite funny at the time.
It's like throwing the crystal ball around. Like, don't drop the ball. It's a little bit like the Greek show we did on Tuesday. It's like the eye. Don't drop the eye.
So I'm not...
I've seen that film. Give me the eye!
Yeah, we love that show.
Okay, darling, I'll give you the eye. There you go.
Anyway, sorry, going back into the crystal balls. Most of the balls on the market these days are actually glass, which is fine because you're using it as a point of focus, basically.
Yeah.
In my opinion, and that's just my opinion, being I like my crystals, it doesn't matter the size of your ball.
Really, Kerry? Do tell.
But any size ball you can scry with. So from like a 50mm up to like 100 plus, mil, you can scry with. But it is really a point of focus.
Yeah, it's your focal point.
To be honest, I mean, if somebody decided they're going to sit there and stare at my balls for quite a while with intensity, I would have to disturb them after about 10 minutes and say, what are you doing?
What?
Just saying.
I'm not
If somebody
anything.
decided, if they were sat there like staring at my nether regions, and what are you doing? I'm just looking at your balls, mate. Why?
I'm just scrying with your balls. No.
Let's try and see the future.
No, it's more of a fascinating process because a lot of when we talk about meditation, we talk about doing it with your eyes shut, regulate your breathing, raise yourself through your vibrations, go through your chakra points, raise yourself, open your third eye. You know what I mean? It's a different form of doing that, but you're actually focusing your concentration and your attention on an object, whether that be a crystal ball, whether that be a fire, whether that be a scrying glass, whether that be a bowl of water, whatever it is. That's what that's the difference. Do you know what I mean? Between scrying and meditation. But basically you're getting your mind into that upper level non-physical thinking. You're suspending your day-to-day thought patterns and you're allowing you're allowing thoughts to come through that you aren't consciously thinking. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's exactly
And
what you're talking about.
it's actually quite difficult to do because the amount of times people say to me, well, when I meditate, all I keep thinking about is what I'm going to cook for dinner, or I need to do the washing, or I need to, I've got that meeting at work. And it's suspending those thoughts. It's getting to the point where you're not thinking about those thoughts and literally thinking of nothing, which is why visualization is useful in regards to meditation, because you're actually changing your mind into a different... So your focus is actually on your visualization. Your visualization in this case is the object in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah? Now, Paul Rook has said in the chat room, by taking notes, is it not make... he's typical. Can't understand what he's writing. By taking notes and it not making sense a few weeks down the line, it's just another form of making facts fit. Where do you draw the line? A week? 2 weeks? 4 months down the line? Eventually, life happens. If I said you're going to be going through a door, you may not do that now, but it's probably pretty certain that you're going to go through a door at some point. He's correct on that. So in regards to Nostradamus, he did these predictions in the 1600s, and we're still trying to make them fit facts now.
So basically, if Nostradamus said something like, I can see a man, he's a large gentleman, he has blackbirds all around him, he will go to the room of water, and he will get the pointer of future and aim it at the water. Basically, Paul Rook will go to the toilet and have a pee. So yeah.
Possibly. I mean, I've never had that kind of information through when I've done scrying. It's been more like, how can I say? Whenever I've done scrying, it's been pretty immediate, I would say. It's never been like vast future. It's always been quite immediate or in the present.
Yeah.
It's been sort of like a message that sort of you could take there and then, not something. It's not like a prediction. In my personal opinion, in my personal experience, should we say.
Can I give the chat room, for those who are listening and not really all that au fait on scrying, like a basic way to describe it? Yeah?
Go.
Well, basically, scrying, I think, is something that everybody will have done without realising it at some point. When you're a kid, summer holidays, how many times have you lay on the grass, watched the clouds drifting by, and you've seen shapes and things in it? Ever stared blankly at a wall, ceiling, or floor, and you've seen faces and shapes move across them? That's basically the basic thing of scrying, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Cloud scrying.
Yeah, we've all done that as kids, lay there and, see shapes in the clouds, and you make up... pareidolia obviously comes into that, obviously.
Yeah, but it's still...
But, you know what I mean? But we've all done that. And there was, I believe, was it Native Americans that used to use cloud shapes as omens and stuff that, and they used to do scrying by looking up at the sky to get guidance from there. But they were so connected to their environment. That was the difference, though. They were so connected with their environment. They saw omens in a blizzard scurrying across in front of their path and stuff. I mean, obviously, I don't know that for sure, but I'm sure there probably was an omen seen in that way at some point.
The Aztecs used to use obsidian mirrors to get in contact with Quetzalcoatl and the jaguar god mainly, but they used to use obsidian mirrors for it.
Yeah, they did. Now, Gary has said it's all down to an individual's interpretation. For example, years ago, my mum was told she was going to move across water. So she said to my dad, "Looks like we are emigrating," to which my dad replied, "You can't move anywhere in England without crossing water." Fair point. That's a fair point.
Yeah.
We only have to go to Kent to cross water. Well, I do. I mean, I know you guys, it's a bit different, but, for me, I only have to go to Kent and I've crossed water. It's like going... It's not that far. It's only 15 miles away.
That's like going into Essex. You need a passport for that. Have you heard the accent? You do. I've heard the passport to Pimlico.
So let's not start on Essex. Let's not go on to the Essex, because all the crap jokes
all I'm saying is you need a translator.
I do not need it. Well, I do when I get angry. But that's because there's so many beeps in there. You can't. It's like the odd word that makes sense. Anyway, exactly the point, isn't it? It's interpretation of what you're... when you do scry, is that interpretation of those images. But that's no different from a medium working, quite frankly, except you're not working with a specific person's images and people and whatnot, but You are. Sorry. Yeah, that's true. I only have to go to Basden to cross water. That's true, because I am on an island. Technically. Where was I? Yes. So it's that interpretation, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So Paula says, so now you're saying scrying is pareidolia, only on cloud scrying. Because if you're water scrying or your crystal ball scrying, the crystal ball doesn't change in structure. It doesn't. It doesn't go all misty like you see in the films. You know, trust me, that would be great if that happened. When you're like staring at your crystal ball and it all goes misty inside, and images come through like a video recorder showing you exactly what is gonna happen. That would be freaking awesome. That doesn't happen like that. It really doesn't happen like that. If it did, my God, that would be some evidence.
But you could have your own radio show.
You could have your own radio show. But, yeah, it is very subjective, isn't it? It is very subjective to and open to interpretation.
Yeah, it is.
Gotcha. I mean, I've never actually seen anybody scry. Like I say, Andy Mercer tried to do it on one of the places we went to, but there wasn't enough energy going around and stuff to be able to do it properly. But you know, it's the first time I've seen anybody have a go, and that actually did interest me because I could see, like, it's going to sound weird and I'm going to sound like I'm crazy, but I could see like smoke moving, as daft in his crystal ball. Yes, Andy, I've seen your balls, mate, and I've seen the smoke on them as well. You know, but, yeah.
Now, that just sounds one kinky night. That's all I can say.
Well, it was in a nuclear bunker, so yeah.
Smoke within his balls and smoke drifting across them. Is she blowing smoke at his balls? Sorry, spheres. I've been told to call them spheres. Sorry, everybody in the chat room. But yes, no, I don't disagree. But I also think there's a suspension of your everyday conscious, and you're trying to link in to something other, whether that's questionable as to what you're trying to link into, but suspending your everyday thought patterns, so you're thinking of nothing, which, as I said before, is incredibly difficult to do. It's a technique you have to develop, yeah. But you are, as Ashley says, trying to shift your focus in order to access other available information. Now, where that information comes from is open for discussion, but it is, that is what your intention is to do. That's what you're trying to do, isn't it, Kaz?
Yeah.
Right, come on, Mark. 13 minutes to go for the end of the show. Let's chuck in the alien link that you found, because we've gone through this without you screaming aliens at least once.
Right. There is, according to a person out there, I'm trying to find their name and I can't find it yet, but there was a story about Solux, Solux, the alien in a crystal.
Oh, God.
Right, and I will read what I found about... No, does it say the guy's name? Well, I'll read what I found anyway.
Go on.
In the late 1980s and early 1990s, I found myself enmeshed in ufology. Working as a licensed hypnotherapist, with allegedly alien abductees. During this time, I made a telepathic connection with an entity, a tall grey, insectoid-looking alien. He said his name was Solux and came from the other side of the sun. He resembles the description of the praying mantis aliens, allegedly more evolved, very tall, and keeper of knowledge. He said he came here from a distant galaxy on the other side of the sun, where I was experiencing with him, whatever that means. His energy was powerful yet compassionate, and all-knowing. I could feel his presence with me as I sat there gazing out at the countryside. Though he seemed harmless, he only spoke of the mission I had here to help consciousness evolve. I never really trusted him. After several conversations, I asked him to leave, and he did. Now, I'm just trying to find the bit that's to do with that, Chris. Here we go. In June 1990, visited Arizona.
Marcus turned into Sigmund Freud.
Und ja, the rabbit, I visited Sedona,
Just say it normally, please. Normal.
To explore the energies and grids. Zen and I spent time in the mountains each day, meditating in the vortices. He's guiding me along the way. Blah, blah. I climbed mountains somewhere in Sedona, got up his head, sat there, mountain ledge, majestic view. He told me to take out the crystal and hold it, his crystal, and hold it in his left hand. In my hand, I held a smoky quartz Herkimer diamond.
Herkimer.
Is that right? Herkimer. Shaped like the UFO. Shaped like the UFO, and I had shaped like the UFO he had been on in 1954 with this
thing.
Saxy thingy bob. I found this crystal at the home of a crystal dealer who didn't want to part with it, but felt guided to do so when he saw my connection with it.
Yeah, and charged him £1 million to do so.
He telepathically told me that he'd placed a message in the crystal that reflected my work. After he left, I opened my hand, took the crystal in my thumb and index finger, held it up to the light. I looked into the upper and lower windows. This is a form of crystal scrying, yet goes beyond that as the images are clearly depicted. The once clear crystal was now inscribed with encoded messages. And this, ladies and gentlemen, kids, don't do drugs.
Oh my God! Now,
Solex, the alien, basically etched his crystal with messages. On another point, I will say they have actually invented a type of hard drive which is crystal, and on the tiniest sliver of crystal, you can fit something like 1 million terabytes on it. So
it's manufactured, though. It's a manufactured crystal, not.
It doesn't matter. It's still crystal.
But
aliens can manufacture it.
Having said that, there is something called a Lemurian quartz crystal that has got a barcoding effect down the side of it. It's being majorly manufactured in the cutting process. It also has this when you're in the cutting process, it can also create this barcoding effect. But what I can understand what this is saying, but having worked extensively with crystals, if you get a natural Lemurian which has got barcoding down it, there is a legend that it has encoded within it information that you can access by working with the crystals. Okay, but there is a link to crystal skulls here too, because effectively what you're doing is you're doing a scrying with a crystal skull, which is allowing a connection between you and the crystal to allow information to pass between you. Is it between you and the crystal skull, or is it allowing your mind to access levels of information that you wouldn't normally? But that is a whole different topic. We have done shows on crystal skulls before now. We did 2 shows on crystal skulls because that was such a huge topic as well. Thank you, Gary. I'll check that out after the show.
I was just about to say, Paul, who on earth is Indian Joan? Is Indian Joan where you get your second-hand hooky paranormal gear from, mate?
What? No, it says Indiana.
Yeah, no, but underneath that he put Indian Joan.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. I could just see Paul going down the market and going, have you got any of the K2 meters, mate? Very indeed. How much would you like for this? Yeah.
Does it rattle when you pick it up? Which we've learnt from our lovely Carl Hutchinson. So there are loads of different ways of linking in via a tool, effectively, whether that be a mirror, a crystal ball, a fire, smoke. You know, there are not smoking, obviously, but smoke scrying.
Yeah.
You know.
Hang on, smoke scrying in a small room. Kerry, have you been hotboxing again?
Anyway, moving swiftly on yet again. Kaz.
Yeah?
There are many methods of doing this, isn't there? Leading you into a conversation.
Water scrying?
Yeah.
It's good.
That's what I wanted to know about water scrying. How do you do it? Does it have ink in it, or is it just water? Or
you can have a bowl of ink or water.
Yeah, water. Most people use a black bowl or a dark blue bowl. But again, you've got to be in that meditative state when you're doing it. You've got to be in that meditative state with every kind of scrying, I think. But you've got to look into the water. Some people like to just gaze at the top of the water, and some people like to look right into the bowl.
You have
when
to
they're
sort
doing
of
it.
like look beyond
Yeah.
the beyond, as it were.
Yeah.
So you're not seeing the object. You're seeing the object, but you're seeing the object, but you're not seeing the object.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the point of it, isn't it?
Yeah. And then you've got to interpret. Again, it's interpretation, isn't it, of what you're getting. But I mean, that it's a good method. It's not my preferred method, but it's a good method, I think. It was actually shown in a Disney movie. Do you remember that?
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the
No.
fairest of them all?
Well, that was one of them, and it was shown in The Lion King, where that witch doctor monkey Rafiki says to Simba, look into the water and ask him what he sees. And Simba says, I see my reflection. He says, no, look closer. And when he ripples the water and Simba's looking closer, he sees the image changing into an image of his father.
Well, it was also in Pride and Prejudice, where
Yeah.
Elizabeth Bennet is looking
Yeah.
into the mirror, and
Yeah.
she sees Mr. Darcy, and it's depicted in the film as Mr. Darcy coming in and giving her the letter. But she
Giving her
was
what?
The letter, not a French letter, just a normal letter, a handwritten letter. So it's also, scrying is also been well known in films throughout the time, hasn't it? You know, we've seen it time and time again in
Yeah.
films.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, God, yeah. I mean, you see it, as you say, you do see it all the time. You see it in various films and stuff, you know, like especially the "Give me the eye" and stuff like that, you know.
But that's not really scrying. That's just somebody
it's-
scrawling over the eye.
They're
Gary's just
using an
said-
eyeball.
Gary's just said in the chat room, you have to try and look through your own reflection.
Yes, you can't focus on yourself. You have
You can't
to look.
focus on your reflection. You have to look past that.
Well, I've always been told whenever I was taught, when I was taught scrying, I was taught that you angle it slightly so you haven't got a reflection in it.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
focusing on it, so you're not got the reflective image in it. So you're looking at it from a slightly angled view, actually not directly into it. That's just what I got taught, but
Yeah.
I suppose there are different methods that people use. You know,
It's a personal thing, isn't it? It's what works for one person isn't necessarily going to work for another person. It's very personal.
incredibly, but that's the whole thing with in regards to the spiritual way of doing it, is finding
Yeah.
the way it works for you. You know,
Yeah.
No, you can't do your live tomorrow. It's on Sunday at 8 p.m. Paul Rook.
Can I just say, John D? We haven't spoken about John D in his Black Spirit Mirror.
No,
Or
we
the-
haven't.
or his
There
crystal
is a
ball.
reason. There is a reason why we have not spoken about John Dee specifically, because we have a very knowledgeable person, because he hates the word expert. We have a very knowledgeable person about that, so it's going to be a whole different show. Because John Dee, we have already done a show in general on John. Well, I now call him John. I like to abbreviate these people. But we are going to do a show on John Dee and scrying and the way he works. We've done a very overview look at John Dee before now, but it's an absolutely fascinating topic. So that is a show that's going to be up and coming on Parasearch Radio. So guys, if you want to listen to that one, we'll find the details for you very soon. We're actually coming to the end of the show, guys, on scrying.
Yeah. Yeah.
End of the show.
Yeah.
So,
One of the things I was going to say is, and it's also to do what I said about the Aztecs and that using obsidian mirrors. John Dee using the obsidian mirror as well.
he did. He also had a lovely smoky quartz ball, which when I actually saw it in the British Museum, I was actually
That's
quite
right,
shocked.
yeah.
To the point, I actually messaged Andy Mercer and said, "It's small. I was expecting it to be enormous," and he was like, "No, that's how big it is." And I think he was a bit shocked that I thought it'd be bigger than it was.
Do you know what? The South Americans, the Aztecs.
Yes,
Their god, Tezcatlipoca, is the god of obsidian and sorcery. If you translate the name into the Nahuatl language, it translates as smoking mirror. So their god is named after, is called Smoking Mirror. And he's the god of obsidian.
No, he didn't use a mirror. He used a ball, Andy. We know. I just said a ball. Sphere.
He also had a mirror as well.
Sphere.
He had a ball. He had a rock
No.
crystal ball.
No. He's emphatically saying in the chat room, D did not use the mirror. Emphatic.
He had a black.
It's actually in big capital letters in the chat room. Anyway, we're wrapping the show up. That is it. We are done. We are done with the show on Scrying. What else have we got coming up on Parasearch Radio for the week?
He used a gold disc. Well.
No, Mark did say mirror. It was a ball. Now, tomorrow...
And a mirror.
Tomorrow
and a gold
night-
disc. And
Shush.
wax discs.
Shut up. Shush. So, tomorrow we are having a night off, Paul Rook. We are having a night off. We have things to do, places to go, people to see tomorrow. So, Sunday we are back at 8 p.m. live on the Parasearch Radio group page. We have got a question and answer session with Mr. Paul Rook himself. Anything you want to ask that man. Yeah.
I've got questions.
Oh, hell yeah. We've all got questions for that man. 8 p.m. Parasearch Radio group page. Paul Rook will be going live to answer those questions for you. He has said, ask a silly question, you will get a silly answer. Okie dokes. At 9 p.m, the Spirit Dimension is going live. I did say Sunday, 8 p.m, Parasearch Radio group page. 9 p.m, the Spirit Dimension show goes live. I have Mr. Ashley Nibb in the studio. We are talking about research and the paranormal. We are putting a cry out to the paranormal field. We need your input on a particular research project we are working on, myself and Mr. Ashley Nibb. Listen to that one, guys. It is a way of pulling the community together to get a proper research project underway that we need some information for. Tune into that one, please, guys. If you know any paranormal team that works in regards to serious data collection, then we need your help. We really need your help. Okay, so that's happening at 9 p.m. Monday, I will be going live on the Parasearch Radio group page, giving you a roundup of all the week's shows that are coming up, so don't miss that. Don't know what time yet, because you know me. I like to keep you on your toes.
You think?
I do. Yeah, actually, we need you, Paranormal Field. We need you. I want to do a pointy finger and a big hat thing going on that one. So, that's what we've got coming up for the rest of the week on Parasearch Radio. Right, Podbean. We are Parasearch Radio on Podbean. We have all the archived shows up there. At the moment, we have all the KTPF Reload shows. Amazing interviews done by the KTPF crew. They are all up on Podbean now. Seventh Sanctum. All those shows are now up on Podbean. Go check them out. Listen to some of the older shows. We have got some absolutely amazing shows up on Podbean. We are on SoundCloud as well. We are also on a brand spanking new YouTube channel, Parasearch Radio. Check out our new intro, guys. We've got an amazing new intro, and there's going to be exclusive video footage going up on that channel very, very soon. So go, make sure you subscribe. Go, click, subscribe. Do that. Comment. We love it. On Spreaker. We are on Spreaker 6 nights a week, bringing you 7 shows a week. What else are we on? Facebook, Twitter. God, we're everywhere. LinkedIn, Kerry Greenaway. Check me out. I'm sharing everything over there as well. Connect. We love ya. Say goodnight, guys.
Good night.
I was just wondering if we were going to speak then. Yeah, okay. Good night.
Good
I got
night.
on my little sales rant there. Did you say not sales rant? My little promotional rant. We are everywhere. Help us to help you guys in the paranormal field. This is your paranormal radio station. We don't do it for love. We do it for you guys. We bring you information and guests that you want to hear from. and we bring you from all sides of the paranormal, not just the teams on the field, but also the academics that are doing research in universities and SPRs and ASAPs and all sorts of wonderful places like that. On that note, have a great Friday evening, and we love you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Great chat room. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week. Next week, what are we talking about, guys? Can we remember?
Oh, I don't bloody know.
Kaz?
No.
Oh, hang on. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. We are talking about Black Shucks.
No, we're not talking about
We're
Black
not.
Shucks next week.
We're not.
We're talking about the number 13 next
That's
week.
it. Yeah.
Oh, my God. You try and keep the masses in order, but they just don't listen. Next
It's
week
the drugs.
on...
It's the drugs.
On the Dark Mirror Show, we are talking all about the number 13. So tune in 9 p.m. next Friday for another fun-filled, frolicky show on Parasearch Radio. We've overrun by 5 minutes, guys. And on that note, good night.
That was 5 minutes of you talking.
I know.
Love you.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. Can I just say thank you for the well wishes to everybody, because I've had a few people private messaging me and stuff. So thank you for the well wishes and everything. And I'm absolutely fine now. Well, as fine as I'll ever be. Thank you, everybody. And nice to be back.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.